Hey everyone, this is Connor with housewing.com here. I saw a topic, I was watching like an article, I guess I wasn't watching, it was a video of on CBS News, and it was regarding like prices in Jackson, Wyoming. And I thought it was interesting and it would be a good idea to touch on it because I think it's a super interesting topic. I mean, it's a super cool area, but it kind of shows like when an area becomes very vacationified. I know that's not a word, but you kind of see that with a lot of ski towns and how it's impacting the locals and the property values, which is actually really, a horrible thing to see, with these property values. I guess getting right into it, the average income in Jackson, Wyoming, according to, CBS, what I was watching it's around $100,000 a year. So six-figure income, which is, it's definitely higher, I'd say, than the national average. But here's the kicker, that the average listing price for a house in Jackson, Wyoming is $7.4 million, which is absolutely like sky high. Like, I think even if you compared it to like most areas in like New York City or even in, LA, I mean, that's a lot higher than those. I think an average, I read that, I think it was somewhere in California that they had the highest average sales price. But this is like this is like extremely high, even relative to that. The reason it's a very concentrated area. It's not that big. I know it's surrounded by mountains, so it kind of is a bit limited, with which ways you're able to go. But it's starting to affect, and I want to talk about this because you see it in like areas like Telluride as well, like in Colorado. But it's starting to affect locals a lot, and the issue is that a lot of people who work the essential jobs, who are whether they're a waiter at a restaurant, whether they work in retail, whether they're a firefighter, your garbage man, a lot of them cannot afford to live in the town that they're providing these services to. And it's a huge issue, right? Especially, I know one of the examples that they used in CBS, I think it was a construction project manager and then also a firefighter. So of course, we also law enforcement as well. If you're a police officer, you're in law enforcement, you want to be able to live in the city that, you're charged with protecting, and because you really care about these people. And a lot of times, in these interviews, I see that a lot of them are from this area too. But yes, so you have $100,000 average income, and it's not nearly enough to even buy your standard, your typical house in Jackson, Wyoming, which is crazy, right? I mean, mid $7 million range for your average house. And I went ahead and did the math too on like a jumbo loan for that. And just because, you'd have to qualify for a jumbo loan. And this is even with like a 20% down, which even then, I mean, that's a lot of money, right? I mean, that's still, let's see, I mean, it's probably, that's over $1 million down. So you still already, just to even, get the down payment for, financing something like this, it's still going to take a lot of money. The payment would be about $40,000 a month from like a mortgage standpoint around current rates. And that's not even including property taxes. That's, with that aside, not even including that, and also utilities as well. So, I mean, it's going to be higher than that. And so, I mean, $40,000, right? Go ahead and time that by 12. I mean, that's almost $500,000 a year just to break even and just have a house, which that's just absolutely insane, right? It's not sustainable for the community. It's not good for the community. It's great that people want to live there, but I think a lot of the times is what they're running into is that a lot of these people who, where these prices are going through the roof, they're not living here primarily. And that's really where it starts to become an issue when a lot of the people who, provide the essential services are forced out of these areas. And then it's harder to find people to do these services because a lot of people don't want to do the commute. One of the examples they used in this, I think it was about an hour drive, I believe it was a construction manager. And I think a lot of people, is from the area, so, passionate about the town, but a lot of people wouldn't really be willing to do that. And it really starts to eat into your, if you're driving that every day, I mean, the gas money starts to add up, right? Gas prices right now are, higher than they've been before. So it's even more of a consideration now. And yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And I know they have like possible fixes. Of course, in the comments, I'd like to kind of hear your feedback too. If, how do you kind of adjust for that and bring back, really strong local infrastructure and really strong local jobs? And really what I was thinking of, a lot of the developments that they're doing are really, expensive, like kind of like short-term rental, like kind of hotel-oriented areas, which in reality, we need to be building permanent houses in areas like this. So I guess, more residence-tailored plans rather than communities that are really relying on the vacation crowd, less vacation-oriented stuff, more permanent resident stuff. And I think another thing would be, good incentives as to be a permanent resident of Jackson, Wyoming, right? You need incentives for people to be permanent residences there. That makes it, more affordable for them to live there, because it's getting really challenging, right? There needs to be incentives to be a permanent residence, because a lot of times these values are just getting, just right going through the ceiling, not because a lot of times it's not the people who are living there. It's, a lot of vacationing, developers buying out massive, chunks of land, driving the prices up, and also, out of state, buying. That's really what a lot of it's doing. And some of the examples I thought, Telluride was one of the biggest ones I thought of, because I guess it's kind of similar. It's kind of, a mountainous town. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can, they'll come out with a solution with this. I just couldn't believe that, though. I mean, you'd probably have to be making close to about 7 figures to be able to comfortably afford a house in Jackson, Wyoming. And this is your average house too. Of course, you might be able to get like a, really small cabin for less, but even then I was looking at it because I wanted to make sure before I made this video too, like kind of being familiar with this, that even for like a small condo, it looks like your standard apartment. So like take like a standard new apartment complex, take that apartment, it's over $1 million for one of those. So it's not, I mean, your entry point is really around $1 million for even like a small condo, that's a huge issue. But yeah, let me know what you think, and whether, what other communities do you think have this issue, and what do you think they could do to solve it? I'm really thinking, incentives to be a permanent resident. And also I think as a town, you need to come together and really, provide incentives for local housing, because, a lot of the luxury short-term rental construction and developments is all stuff that really could be built that, that could be used to increase supply. You get a lot more supply, rents start to come down, it starts to slowly become more affordable. And it's not going to be overnight, but steps in the right direction is what's needed, especially for Jackson, Wyoming. But let me know what you think. I think it's a pretty area. It's a shame that a lot of people doing the local services can't live there right now, and what you think some of the solutions would be. Thanks.